Imagine your boss gives you a raise tomorrow. Maybe it's $5,000 a year. You'd probably be excited. You might celebrate with your family. You'd feel like life is finally getting easier. But here's the strange part. 6 months later, that excitement is gone. Your paycheck is bigger, but somehow your bank account doesn't look much different. You're still thinking twice before buying something expensive. You're still wondering where all your money went, and you're still asking yourself, why does my salary never feel like enough? Most people think they know the answer. I just spend too much. But that's only part of the story, because your salary is quietly fighting against 4 invisible forces. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why even people earning 6 figures sometimes still don't feel financially comfortable. Let's imagine Sarah. Last year, she earned $60,000. This year, she gets promoted. Now she earns $70,000, a $10,000 raise. Sounds amazing. So why doesn't life suddenly feel easier? Here's the first surprise. A raise isn't the same as extra spending money. Before that extra income reaches your bank account, some of it disappears. Taxes, retirement contributions, health insurance, payroll deductions. That doesn't mean raises aren't valuable. They absolutely are. But it does mean that a $10,000 raise rarely feels like $10,000. Still, even after all those deductions, Sarah should have more money left. So why doesn't she feel richer? Because something else is quietly changing. And unlike taxes, you never receive a bill telling you it's happening. Every year, something quietly becomes more expensive. Groceries, rent, insurance, electricity, even your favorite streaming service somehow costs a little more. This is called inflation. But here's a simpler way to think about it. Inflation doesn't just mean prices go up. It means your money buys less than it used to. Imagine inflation averages around 3% every year. That doesn't sound like much, but watch what happens. Something costing $100 today costs around $103 next year, around $116 after 5 years, and roughly $134 after 10 years. Nothing became bigger, nothing became better. It simply became more expensive. Now here's the important question. If your salary increases by 2%, but prices increase by 3%, did you actually get richer, or did your purchasing power quietly shrink? That's why people sometimes receive a raise, yet still feel like they're running in place. They're earning more dollars, but every dollar buys a little less. And here's the interesting part. If inflation is only around 3%, why does everything feel like it's gone up by 20%? Is inflation number wrong? Not exactly, because the inflation number you hear on the news isn't measuring your life. It's measuring the average price of hundreds of different things. Maybe electronics got cheaper. Maybe airline tickets fell. But if the things you buy every week, rent, groceries, insurance, rise faster than average, your personal inflation can feel much higher. But here's the surprising part. Even inflation isn't the biggest reason your salary never feels enough, because the next force isn't happening in the economy. It's happening inside your own life. Imagine Sarah again. She tells herself, I'm going to save this raise. She genuinely means it. Then life happens. Her phone feels old. She upgrades it. Her apartment starts feeling a little small. She moves somewhere nicer. Ordering food becomes more convenient than cooking. She starts paying for a few extra subscriptions. Nothing feels extravagant. Each decision seems reasonable. That's exactly why it's difficult to notice. Psychologists call this lifestyle inflation. But here's what it really means. As your income grows, your definition of normal quietly grows with it. Yesterday's luxury becomes today's necessity. The better phone, the nicer apartment, the premium coffee. None of them feel exciting anymore. They simply feel normal. The strange part? That most people never decide to inflate their lifestyle. It happens gradually, one small decision at a time. But even if you somehow avoided all of this, there would still be another invisible force waiting for you. And this one lives inside your own mind. So why don't we notice lifestyle inflation? Because our brains don't compare today's lifestyle with 5 years ago. They compare today's lifestyle with yesterday. And yesterday, nothing changed. That's why these upgrades feel invisible. Think back to something you once desperately wanted. Your first smartphone, your first apartment, your first promotion. maybe even your first paycheck. Remember how exciting it felt? Now think about it today. It probably feels ordinary, not because you're ungrateful, because your brain is incredibly good at adapting. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually simple. Every improvement eventually becomes your new normal. That raise you celebrated, after a few months, it no longer feels like a raise. It simply feels like your salary. Then your brain starts looking toward the next goal, the next promotion, the next bonus, the next raise, not because you're greedy, because that's simply how humans are wired. So now we know something surprising. It's not just inflation, it's not just lifestyle, it's not just psychology. All of them are quietly working together. But here's the question that really matters. If all of these invisible forces affect everyone, why do some people still feel financially comfortable? Here's the real question. If inflation keeps rising, if our lifestyle keeps expanding, and if our brains keep wanting more, why do some people still feel like they have enough? And this is the part most people misunderstand. It's not because they are unaffected by inflation. They are. Their groceries still cost more. Their bills still increase. Their money still loses purchasing power. So what are they doing differently? Here's something fascinating. Ask most people what would solve their financial stress, and many will say a bigger salary. But here's the problem. A bigger salary can solve a lot of problems, but it doesn't automatically create financial security. Because 6 months after receiving a raise, many people find themselves wanting another one, not because the raise wasn't valuable, but because the feeling they were chasing wasn't created by income alone. The difference is, some people stop depending on every future raise to make life feel easier. Instead, they slowly create financial breathing room. They save before spending everything. They build assets that can grow over time. They keep their lifestyle from rising as quickly as their income. So when prices increase or an unexpected expense appears, their entire financial life doesn't collapse. They have space. They have options. And that changes the way money feels. Because financial security isn't always about earning more. Sometimes it's about needing less from every dollar you earn. So, why does your salary never feel like enough? Because your paycheck isn't fighting against just your monthly bills. It's fighting against inflation, against the lifestyle you slowly build around your income, against your brain constantly redefining what feels normal, and against the belief that the next raise will finally make everything easier. The strange part is, most of these forces happen quietly. You don't receive a notification saying your money is losing purchasing power, or your lifestyle has become more expensive, or your new salary has already become your new normal. It just happens. And that's why so many people blame themselves. They think, I just need to earn more. But now you understand something different. The goal isn't simply to chase a bigger paycheck. It's to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Because once you understand the invisible forces working against your money, you stop waiting for the next raise to magically solve everything. You start making smarter decisions with the money you already have. And that changes everything, because financial security doesn't begin when you finally earn enough. It begins when you understand how money actually works. If you're curious about how money really works, subscribe for simple explanations that uncover the hidden ideas behind everyday money. And if you found this video helpful, give it a like. It helps more curious people discover videos like this.